this week, the government leaked private information about a Centrelink client to the media. And yesterday, the House of Reps passed a bill letting them do the same thing to Defence Force veterans. Remember when privacy was a thing?
If you thought the terms and conditions on your iPhone were a worry, wait till you get a load of this bill, which lets the Department of Veterans Affairs reveal intimate details about former soldiers.
This would enable the Secretary of DVA to disclose information about a particular case or class of cases where the Secretary certifies that it is necessary in the public interest to do so.
And when is it necessary? When there's a threat to life, health or welfare, which sounds legit. But they'll also spill the beans to correct mistakes of fact or misinformation in the community. That means if you complain publicly about the way the DVA has treated you, the department can expose your private and confidential case history when they disagree.
One of the effects of this bill will be to silence veterans. They are not going to be too keen to make claims or to attack the Department of Veterans Affairs out of fear.
If there's a knowledge that the information can become public, I know myself I wouldn't speak as freely to my treating psychologists and psychiatrists.
This week, we got a textbook demonstration of just how wrong this could go. After this woman wrote about her Centrelink woes, the government sent details of her case to a journo. The minister gave a dubious legal defence for the leak, and to make matters much worse, his staff accidentally forwarded far more personal info than intended.
What Centrelink ended up sharing with me and other journalists were some of Andy Fox's personal details. So when it came into my inbox, I was quite shocked.
The story with Centrelink, that's a debacle. And how easily has that happened? I do not have faith in a department having unfettered control over people's personnel records.
So if the government can trust our vets to secure the nation, why can't our vets trust the government to secure their privacy?
Well, for more on this story, we're joined by Deputy PM Barnaby Joyce. Barnaby, let me get this straight. You've got no problem at all with the government leaking individuals' private information to win an argument. Is that right?
Well, that's how you frame it up, Georgie. But let's first of all go through this. No one's going to be leaking information without the proper process. I think on this issue, if you're talking about the Veterans Affairs, now I'm not the minister of this, but I believe it requires the appropriate certificate to be issued before anything can be leaked. This is a process that went through the consultation with the veterans community. It was a long part of the process, and now I'm absolutely certain, and you know as well, that the minister who's responsible for this is prepared to go on your show live and discuss it so you can get proper transparency, as the fourth estate should always ask for, so you can't get much better than that. So I'll give you my best attempt as the Minister for Agriculture and Water Resources to answer for the Minister for Veterans Affairs. No, you can't just willy-nilly leak people's information. There has to be a process, and it ultimately requires, I can't remember the exact name of the certificate, but a personal something or other certificate to be issued, and it's so that you can get a better collection of data so that people can be looked after in a better way. There's no reason, we're not trying to do something nefarious, we're trying to help people.
But Barnaby, unfortunately there is no one relevant minister here, because this case is Veterans Affairs, but earlier in this week we heard of a case from Social Services to do with a Centrelink client who made complaints publicly, spoke about their bad experience with Centrelink, and the next thing they know they found information leaked, some of it by accident, to journalists. I mean, surely this is a situation that a government should find intolerable, that private information is being used in these sorts of public spats.
Well, no one should be leaking for malicious purposes information on anything, especially if it's information that's being given privately. But if obviously you're going to need the cross-reference of certain information from Social Security and the Taxation Department, I imagine is one, so that in certain instances someone's not collecting Social Security when we also find out that they've got a range of jobs. I mean, otherwise it's just your listeners who are paying for them to get money from their pay packet to pay for them. Other taxpayers have a right to say, if you're going to spend my money on Social Security, I have a right to know that you're making sure that the only people who are getting it are the people who deserve it, not people who have also got a job on the side as well.
But Barnaby, no one's disputing that. The question is whether or not that information needs to be given to the Canberra Times.
But that's how we cross-reference. That's how we cross-reference it. Well, we get the tax file number and find out from one department what the other department, whether the other department's paying this money out. I mean, that's one of the biggest issues I read about. I mean, we went through a whole range of people, and then we found out they were getting paid quite substantial amounts of money, tens of thousands of dollars, and also collecting the dole. And of course, everybody gets screaming poos about that, because you're just ripping it off other mums and dads who are going to work.
But Barnaby, we're not talking about whether or not the government should have access to that information so they can police fraud. We're talking about whether or not the government should be leaking personal information to media outlets because someone has made a complaint. And now we're seeing multiple iterations of this.
If there's a malicious intent on the leaking of information, I'm sure there's a whole range of laws that deal with that.
So, well, that's actually the argument now that the Social Services Minister is facing, that they've done something that breaches privacy laws. The question really is, as a matter of principle, is it appropriate for governments to be using people's private information to leak to journalists so they can win an argument within the context of a public debate about something, and for that reason alone?
Well, if someone has broken the law, then I suppose that in that instance, it's going to be investigated. So, by its very nature, once you've broken the law, you're probably making it harder if you want to keep information private. If you want to keep information absolutely private, don't go and get the dole whilst you've also got a job. No. I'm happy to talk to you about how we're doing a great job in agriculture and doing the GDP figures that just came out. The biggest contributor to them, or no bigger contributor, was there except agriculture. We were top the pops, and for the year, 23.7%. That 23.7% growth. That's real money coming back. That shows that we're doing our job in agriculture.
Well, we're happy to hear some good news from the country to round out the conversation, Barnaby. Thank you very much for joining us.
Well, it's the only way, because, as you know, you should get the Agriculture Minister on to talk about agriculture, not Veterans Affairs.
No, we like to talk to the Deputy Prime Minister about the government. I think that's probably fair.
Yeah, I know, but, well, mate, it would help if you actually called me before to say you wanted to talk about this. I heard about this discussion as I went from the centre of town to here. I mean, fair go.
Barnaby, just to let you know, we did. We talked to your people. We spoke to your... Maybe you need to have a chat to your media person, because we fully briefed them that this is what we were going to
When I come in from... I've driven about 300-400 kilometres a day. When I drive in from Elsmore, out of range, the first I hear about this conversation is when I get from town to here. And you expect me to be the friend, guide and philosopher and proficient in every sector of every department. It's, I'll give you my best shot, but really and truly, guys.
Barnaby, we did speak to Jake, just so you know. That's the message I'm getting from my producers. We do appreciate your time, though. Thank you so much.
Okay, see you later.
I wasn't expecting that. I've got a lot of sympathy for the position Barnaby's in there, because we've been in touch with his office, I think, between 2 and 3 p.m. this afternoon, and all week we've been trying to line him up for an interview, and we explained to him what the topic would be, or at least to his office. Yeah. And if I don't know whether the message was passed on to him clearly enough or whatever, so I have sympathy for his position, but I also think it is fair, when you're talking about multiple departments now involved in this issue, to talk to the person who's the 2IC, effectively.
Well, that's right, Deputy PM, and it's they've voted on this issue. They've passed the bill, so it's taking responsibility for it.
So anyway, Barnaby, sorry if there was a misunderstanding. If you would like more information, though, you can read a statement from Dan Tehan, who's the Minister for Veterans Affairs. It'll be, of course, just about the Veterans Affairs aspect of the issue, but that statement is available on our website.